up to chapter 5. This is Porchester Castle. This chapter comes to you by Miss Richards, who is an English teacher. Enjoy.
Chapter 5, An Island for a Castle. June 25th, 1939, Occupation Day, was dark and soggy with ominous clouds. Organised by the Geyser Army, all Red Squirrels and their sympathisers were to be moved to Brandown Camp. Their homes were to be requisitioned by Geyser officers, personnel and Portsmouth creatures selected for resettlement in Gosport. There was no common courtesy to be shown. The move would be swift and immediate. As animal folk left their dwellings for the camp, their new owners walked past to refill them. The roads were busy with trucks loading wagons and trailers and lines of red squirrels walking in procession towards Brandown, carrying their suitcases and all that they could keep with them. It was a sorry sight. Thick mud was only prevented by the headstones that had been freshly laid along the path. Scores of animals were arriving at the gates on Brandown Road and were being organised by the Geyser Army, who were selecting and separating them all. Families who had arrived together were put into different sections of the camp, their belongings taken from them for safekeeping. Each creature was ushered into registration tents and stamped to the skin with the crest of Portsmouth, a crescent moon lying flat under a star. They were asked basic details about themselves: name, profession, and skills. They were handed a new set of clothes, a uniform of sorts. They were immediately told to change into the clothes and abandon in the huge containers supplied for them. The organisation was likened by one as an assembly line in a factory. It was brutal and cold-hearted. No regard or courtesy was given. The camp was situated on the coast next to Stokes Bay town, its boundaries fenced as they joined the shore, with the beach forbidden to passers-by. The camp contained quarter barracks, their walls painted lime green and their roofs corrugated, constructed in an organised military lines and blocks with parade areas, a few brick buildings and a grand old house situated in the middle of the officers in charge. The Geyser Army had constructed additional outposts for each corner of the site, guarding its fencing. In the middle of the camp was a huge wooden outpost raised above the entire site, with guards watching from above. Lady Prideaux Boone had been easily identified by the Geyser as a Red sympathiser and ushered through the gates. She stood out from the crowd, not just because of her size, her long rainmack and colourfully eccentric summer bonnet, but because she was full of spirit, walking proudly beside those who were mocked for the colour of their fur. After changing her clothes and graciously requesting that she keep her hat, she walked out of the tent onto the parade square where thousands of animals were lined up. A Geyser officer dressed in grey coat stepped towards the parade ground, walked up to the first row of animal folk and paced along the line, inspecting the assortment of red squirrels, badgers, voles, stoats, rabbits and hedgehogs. He walked with his paws crossed behind his back and exuded an air of authority. He went back towards the front of the parade and stepped up onto a raised podium to address the prisoners. "I am Colonel Fratton," he said. "Remember my name. I am in charge of this camp. If you obey the rules, you will live. If you fail to obey the rules, you will die. You will remain in the camp until such time we have decided where to place you. You will be put to work and serve your camp. You may have acquired certain skills, and these skills will be used where appropriate and where required. I will not be disturbed by trivial questions or complaints. There are clear rules to follow, and I have nothing more to say. Hail, Geyser!" The colonel saluted the air and walked off. There was a shuffle and a muttering in the crowd. "Well, I never," commented Lady Prideaux Boone. "There's a squirrel of a few words if ever I heard one." "Silence!" shouted another officer who appeared at the podium. "When called, step forward in line. My name is Corporal Milton. You will address me as such, and I will address you as I see fit." The officer peered to his right towards the sergeant and signalled to begin the roll call. "Step forward, D. Cruikshank, G. Nicholson, M. Appleby." The sergeant continued calling out names, and those stepped forward. Officers grabbed them and shuffled them towards the front of the parade. Once a group of 30 had been assembled, it was marched away, and the roll call began again. Lady Prudhoe-Brune's turn soon came around. She stepped forward, as did Mary Camper, who she had not noticed before because she had been standing a few rows in front of her and to the side. Mary Camper had taken her time to respond to her name, and as a result was manhandled out of the line in frustration by one of the officers. "Silly little Red," said the officer. They were ushered to the front of the parade, awaiting a few others to join them, and they marched off to a brick building, where they were lined up in a queue at the entrance. As they did so, they noticed another group that had just entered the building were now leaving. They were sobbing and unrecognisable. Their fur had been shaved entirely off. Lady Prudhoe-Brune was taken aback by the sight, but coughed to clear her throat and declared to the group, "Oh well, ladies, it'll soon grow back." With a nervous paw, she smoothed the white stripe of her fur that ran down her forehead to her nose.